Well, here we are back for part 3 of 3. So let's knock this out. We're still with procurements. There are basically, okay, 3 types of contracts you will want to be concerned with. I just changed the slide a little bit. There's fixed price, which we also call lump sum. It says, hey, here's the fixed price I'm going to pay you. Boom, cash. Here's exactly what I need. You need to be very detailed in a fixed price contract because you are going to get what you asked for and you've already committed the money. Now, a cost reimbursable contract is a second type. And cost reimbursable says I'll basically pay you the contractor your bills, right? You'll turn in receipts and I'll pay them, and I'll give you a bonus basically for completing the project for me. And time and material. Time and material is great, especially if you need short-term resource help, like an accountant at the end of the fiscal year. Time and material. I often think of a McDonald's laborer, even though they're hourly, they're essentially time and material. You're gonna give me time, I'm gonna pay for material. In fact, time and material is essentially a hybrid between fixed price and cost reimbursable, because the fixed price is what I'm going to pay you. What is cost reimbursable is how much time you give me. So you might say to the McDonald's employee, can you stay 3 hours extra? Time and material, I'm going to pay for that. Now, some of these contract types, those are the 3 types of contracts. IDIQ is different. The concept is indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity. So I'm going to sign a contract with you. It'll be fixed price, cost reimbursable, or time and material. And in that contract, you're going to give me work orders. I might sign an indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity. You're going to come to me and say, I need 400 widgets by next week. Bam, I will deliver. And the next one might be, I need 10,000 widgets in 2 weeks. Bam, I'm going to deliver. Indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity, right, is a good way to approach fixed price, cost reimbursable, or time and material. These are some best practices, kind of interesting in contract management. Pause here, take a look at those, pretty interesting. So in any knowledge area, in this case procurement, we always start out with a management plan. How are we going to manage contracts throughout? So this is a good example of a way to organize your procurement management plan. But you can add or subtract to it as you need. You are the project manager. Now, when you do a procurement, you want to put out, you, the buyer, as a project manager, want to put out bid documents. And here are several: RFI, RFP, and RFQ. A request for information means, hey, it's not really a contract, but we're getting ready to build a contract, and we want people that would be interested to submit their proposal ideas to us. And only you, and an option might be only you that submit a proposal can compete later for the RFP or RFQ. Now, an RFP is a request for proposal. Basically, we're going to say, we're going to lay out what we want from you based on, we've learned a lot through the RFI process. And you're going to respond with a proposal and a price. A request for quote is very similar. The difference is a request for quote is going to be focused on the cost, where an RFP is focused on the concept that the seller can create to satisfy the buyer, which is you, the project manager. Here's a simple sample RFP, kind of cool that you get to look at that. Pause and take your time with that. And an RFQ would be very similar. Now, a statement of work. So remember that indefinite quantity, indefinite delivery, IDIQ, right? You might put out task orders or short-term statements of work. Say, I need this, and you will fulfill those along the way. A statement of work, or a SOW, is a description of the work to be purchased. Notice that in your overall project, you will have a statement of work, which is the whole project. frankly, the scope statement is a statement of work. In procurement, we're narrowing that statement of work to exactly what we want to buy. So it's the same concept that we've discussed earlier, but this time it's narrowly focused, because if you ask for more, you're going to pay for more. So be careful what you ask for, and but detail it out as you need, right? So this would be a good example of a statement of work. Kind of cool that you get to see one. Pause, read through it, enjoy it, and think about it critically. Now, once you've put out bid documents, people are going to send you proposals, and you need to have a selection criteria. You need to be able to evaluate fairly all of these companies without looking at them along the way. And I like to, this should be determined, to be fair, before you even put out the RFP. Within your team, they will know what the evaluation criteria is. And you may share some of that with the suppliers that are bidding in the RFP or RFQ process. So here's a sample. So we have this evaluation matrix. These are the items that are most important to the buyer, which is you, the project manager, right? And you've weighted each, because not everything is equally weighted, right? And so you've weighted them. So what I would do is tell the suppliers, these are the criteria. I wouldn't tell them my weight. I would want them to respond. And so here's the weight, and then you will look at each package and grade it. Look at this package, grade it. Look at this package and grade it. And they'll have a total score based on the percentage. So 20% times 85, 25% times 70, 20.25 times 80, and 0.3 times 70. And you end up with 75 points, 80 points, 70 points. So the winner is supplier 2. One of the things that we take for granted in project management is that we've established with our project team a great change management process. But contracts are different, so you always want to work in a detailed change management model in your contract, because you can expect changes, but it's a contract. People are going to argue over it. So work in the change management model into your procurement effort, okay? And consider things. There's the ADKAR method for change management, which includes awareness, desire, knowledge, ability, and reinforcement, okay? And so ADKAR. Go ahead and pause and review those. It's worth your time. Now, Kotter offers 8-step process for leading change. Really, project management is change management, right? We're managing change. We're filling a gap. We're taking a company from the current state to some future state that they perceive a gap, and they're trying to build on their strategy. Kotter would say, here's your 8 steps for leading that change. You can pause and review it at your leisure. It was also in the literature. Now, the Virginia Satter change model is a little bit different. Feel free to pause and review it. That's also in your book. Bridges has a transition model as well. Very interesting. It's just nice to be exposed to various approaches to change in that result in project management. And of course, you want to apply the project management principles to change management and planning. Frankly, they are very similar to me. Project management is change management on steroids and in a controlled fashion. So here we go. We've covered all of these areas in planning part 2 this week. But don't forget, we've been talking largely about the developmental cycle called predictive or waterfall projects. But there's the developmental cycle also called agile. And if we do a mix of the two, which I do quite often, we would call them a hybrid project, right? And so most of my projects today, believe it or not, are hybrid projects. They incorporate some agile elements into predictive projects. Where do I do predictive projects? My role is IT security, cybersecurity infrastructure. So I'll roll out web filtering in my company. I'll roll out antivirus. I'll roll out data loss prevention. And that's risk-based. I do not want to break the business rolling out security. So I love the predictive or waterfall approach, but I incorporate some agile elements into my waterfall project. Okay. In agile, you want to know a few things. One is the definition of done, because agile is change driven. Remember, predictive or waterfall is risk driven. Now agile is change driven. So when do changes stop? Well, that means you have to have a good definition of done. Otherwise, you'll just keep changing, right? Also, what I love about agile is it's transparent. Transparency is king or queen, however you prefer. And so we call them information radiators. These are big visible charts on where we're at in the process. We are exposing ourselves in agile and inviting input because we're change driven. I would not do that as much on a predictive project. Historically, I have not. This is a great sample information radiator. I just love it. Notice it shows burn down charts, burn up charts, combined charts, risks, etc. You can have anything you want on an information radiator. This is a good one. Here is a sample definition of done. Can you check these boxes, right, before a release, say, of software? Of course, in Agile, you want to consider resource planning as well. Normally, the teams are, 7 to 10 people, so they're limited. They should be co-located, working with each other in the same space all the time. Because they have to be collaborative. It's change driven. It's happening on the fly. It's delighting the customer. Where in predictive, I know where I want to be and I've planned it out. I don't need that sort of thing. So, of course, Agile will still have a communications plan, right? You have stakeholders you need to talk to, including the customer, which is part of the team. And so you want to do also a stakeholder plan. Remember, if you think COM, think stakeholders. If you think stakeholders, think communications. It's the same thing in Agile as it was for predictive or waterfall projects. You also want to do risk planning along the way. Risk planning is not as critical here as it is in predictive or waterfall, because predictive or waterfall is risk driven. This is change driven. So you expect changes. And in fact, you expect risk. You would rather in Agile fail fast than not try something. Try it. Fail fast, move on. Edison was asked, what did it feel like to fail 10,000 times developing the light bulb? And his response was gold. He says, I didn't fail 10,000 times. I found 10,000 ways it wouldn't work. Right? It was fast fail. Try it, and move on and fix it. So that's Agile's approach. So you will still do procurement planning in Agile as well. Now, what went right? I love that. Again, it's well laid out in the book. Here's a sample Agile hybrid procurement planning. And frankly, that's it. That is planning in a nutshell. I love it. I hope you did too. This was good fun for me. Planning is essential, but it's not where you spend most of your time. Most of your time as a project manager will be spent next week in executing the project to develop your deliverable. But planning is essential to get execution done right. Okay, that was fun. See you guys online.